What's crackalackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And this is day 3 of my 7-round mock draft. If you haven't checked out the other videos, then they should be in the iCard at the top. Day 1 and day 2. This is day 3 here, no trades, nothing like that. Keep in mind that this isn't necessarily purely based on my rankings, but it's a combination of team tendencies or draft tendencies, fits, best player available, rumors, and all that kind of meshed all into one. So keep that in mind. But go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you thoroughly enjoy the content. And hey, share the video if you really like it, man. Hey, let's help me help this channel grow so I can keep bringing more content to you guys. But without further ado, let's first talk about, I got an NFL watch party going on here on my channel when the draft goes. So check that out. My voice is almost done, so I'm going to kind of rattle these off. We got to go over like 150 picks. I don't want this to be too long of a video. So let's do the thing. We're going to start with Cincinnati Bengals. They're going Ben Breedson out of Michigan. Zach Taylor, he got to coach Breedson at the Senior Bowl where he played well enough. The interior was trash for the Bengals, and they need to protect their new franchise quarterback. Washington Redskins, they're going Prince Tango Winnegoho out of Auburn. Teams are going to love this guy's potential. He's a bit raw, but he's got really high upside, and he does have a lot of experience on the left side. Really makes him valuable. The Lions are going with Khalid Kareem out of Notre Dame. He has the versatility to play on the inside and the outside. He's kind of exactly the type of guy Patricia wants on the defensive line. The New York Giants are going Byron Edwards out of South Carolina. I mean, they spent a lot on free agency, but so I expect them to do a lot with their offense, especially receiving core, given their injury history. Edwards, he is good at fighting through contact, and he'll be a chain mover. Houston Texans, they're going Devon Hamilton out of Ohio State. Texans, basically, I know they've done it like with their first 2 picks, but they're going to keep addressing this defensive line because they need to. They need to get better up front. They could go secondary. They could probably go secondary later, look for guys maybe more in their wheelhouse. I like the value of Hamilton here, especially because he can play the zero tech. They just lost DJ Reader, someone who played nose. Then the Chargers, they're going with Gabriel Davis out of Central Florida. Kind of feels like a reach here, but I think the Chargers would love to add another receiver. The guy has the size and the speed. Pair him up with Mike Williams, and you have 2 of the biggest, scariest receivers running down the field. Carolina Panthers, they're going John Reed out of Penn State. The Panthers, they chose to, I assume that they're going to choose to stick to their zone-heavy scheme. Then if that's so, then a corner like Reed would be a real nice target on day 3. He may be nothing more than number 2 corner, but in a zone-heavy scheme, he'd help tremendously, especially with this wasteland of a secondary that is the Panthers. The Arizona Cardinals, they go Matt Hennessy out of Temple. Mason Cole was awful in 2018. I don't think he didn't play much better the little bit he did play last year. So they go ahead, they grab a guy with great athleticism like Hennessy, and if anything, it's a depth piece. The Cleveland Browns go Jonathan Greenard out of Florida. The Browns, they have to decide what they're going to do with Myles Garrett next season. And I know Greenard, he's a far cry from Garrett, but he is a power rusher that could use probably another year to develop some sort of a toolbox of pass rush moves. Jacksonville Jaguars, they're going Zach Moss out of Utah. I love Moss. I think he should be a day 2 pick, but combine kind of hurt his stock. But I imagine the Jaguars, they won't want to spend the money to keep Fournette, so they get a guy who I think is a perfect replacement and a steal at this point. Then we got the Buccaneers. They go James Lynch out of Baylor. He kind of projects as a 3-4 end, and the Bucs could really use more guys who can play on the defensive line. Denver Broncos go Logan Wilson out of Wyoming. Wilson may lack some athleticism, but you can kind of hide that in a zone-heavy scheme. He's one of the most experienced and smart linebackers in this draft. The Atlanta Falcons go Cameron Brown out of Penn State. Brown, he needs a little refinement to his game, but he's super athletic and he provides the athleticism that Campbell didn't. Then we got the New York Jets. They go Antonio Gibson out of Memphis. Man, they just need to grab someone who can. They need to grab someone who can maybe get production that they thought they may have got with Ty Montgomery. And you know what, Le'Veon, he does need a backup. The man can't be having 30 touches a game. Then the Raiders, they go Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. AGG, man, he could eventually be a replacement for Terrell Williams at a bargain compared to Terrell Williams' contract. And then the Indianapolis Colts, they go Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue. They lost Eric Ebron in Indy, so they could probably use another tight end that could stretch the field vertically in his place. The Dallas Cowboys go Alton Robinson out of Syracuse. I mean, if you're the Cowboys, can you really rely on Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory? I mean, if anything, Alton Robinson just kind of ups the chances of someone emerging opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they go Luki Fotu out of Utah. So, like I said, they really needed someone to play that zero tech. They get Fotu. He's a big boy that can do that. The New England Patriots go wide receiver Isaiah Coulter out of Rhode Island. They need playmakers. Coulter, he tested real fast at the combine. And after Dorsett's departure, they need someone who can stretch the field vertically. The Rams, they go Jack Driscoll out of Auburn. Realistically, Driscoll really may fall to the 4th round. I think I have a second round grade on him. I love Jack Driscoll. Regardless, his athleticism, his sound technique is kind of ideal for the Rams. The Philadelphia Eagles, they're going Josiah Scott out of Michigan State. I know they signed Roby Coleman to a 1-year deal. Even so, they could probably grab one of the better slot corners in this draft for depth. And then the Buffalo Bills, they go Geno Stone out of Iowa. Stone, he brings a unique skill set to the Bills, being able to play in the box or in the slot. The Baltimore Ravens, they go Lynn Bowden Jr. out of Kentucky. I mean, just thinking of the different ways that Greg Roman could use Bowden is scary. And then the New Orleans Saints, they're going to go Tanner Muse out of Clemson. Being real, Tanner Muse, he's probably going to end up being a linebacker at the next level. So the Saints, they just kind of grab the best player available here on the defense. And that happens to be Muse, or at least on my list. And then the Arizona Cardinals go Kenny Robinson out of West Virginia or out of St. Louis Battlehawks. I love Robinson. I think the Cardinals would be wise to address the secondary a few times. With Robinson, I mean, he was once considered a first-round pick before his exit from West Virginia. Minnesota Vikings, they get Michael Onwenu out of Michigan, another guy I love in this draft. The Vikings, their offensive line had their problems last year, especially Pat Elflein. Onwenu, bam, got your replacement. Seattle Seahawks, they go Sadiq Charles out of LSU. Finally, they get offensive line. Sadiq Charles still be on the board here for the Seahawks is pretty good value. I mean, he's super strong tackle, could also kick into guard. Baltimore Ravens go Bravion Roy out of Baylor. They lost Michael Pierce, so they get Roy, someone who can immediately contribute in that rotation at nose with Brandon Williams. Then the Pittsburgh Steelers go Jabari Zuniga out of Florida. I don't see Bud Dupree being around after this season. Zuniga, he has been continually asked throughout this whole offseason process to work out as an off-ball linebacker. Not necessarily an off-ball linebacker, but like a Sam linebacker. So I think teams would like to put him in that hybrid type of role as a pass rusher. The dude's got huge physical upside with him. He just needs to realize that potential, and I think the Steelers can do that for him. The Green Bay Packers go Harrison Bryant out of Florida Atlantic. Packers used 2 tight end sets quite a bit last season, and now they got no Jimmy Graham, so there aren't many proven playmakers there at tight end. Bryant, he made a living at Florida Atlantic just being a playmaker. Jacksonville Jaguars go Jawan Jennings out of Tennessee. They need more playmakers at receiver. Jennings, he's insane after the catch, and he could really help that screen game that's kind of been devoid there for the Jaguars. Kansas City Chiefs, they go Danny Pittner out of Ball State. They could use some depth on their offensive line, and Pittner, he projects as an athletic guard or a swing tackle, which would kind of be nice in this offense that really likes to spread the offense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go Jordan Fuller out of Ohio State. Even with Justin Evans hurt, no one was able to step up at safety. Fuller, he offers good size and length. and he can win at that contested catch point. And then we got the Jaguars back on the clock. Kenny Willix out of Michigan State. They couldn't stop the run whatsoever last season, so they get Willix, who kind of specializes in that. Miami Dolphins go Thaddeus Moss out of LSU. Mike Gesicki, he's a receiving tight end. Moss, he kind of gives the Dolphins a solid tight end too, that may be one of the best inline blockers in this draft at tight end, and he ain't too bad after the catch either. Washington Redskins go Colin Johnson out of Texas. This just gives Haskins a nice big target there at receiver. The Atlanta Falcons, they go Keyshawn Vaughn out of Vandy. Now, they have Gurley, I know, but they need someone to complement Gurley. They need someone behind Gurley because they're not going to run Gurley like 20 times a game. It's just not going to happen, or at least they shouldn't. Seattle Seahawks, Calvin Throckmorton out of Oregon. My boy, this guy I'm really high on. He kind of had a crappy off-season process, but it is what it is. I mean, the Seahawks, they go back-to-back here. And yes, Throckmorton, he is limited as an athlete, but he makes it up with his versatility and his prowess. He's played every position on the offensive line except for left tackle. Not get into that Senior Bowl, so he gives them good versatility. Philadelphia Eagles go Jake Luton out of Oregon State. I know Wentz played a full season last year, but if you were to go down, do you really want your season in the hands of Nate Sudfeld? I don't think so. Luton, he could run your offense efficiently and be safe with the football. And who doesn't like a good old-fashioned backup quarterback camp battle? I know, it sounds ridiculous. Philadelphia Eagles, they go Jason Strowbridge out of North Carolina. The defensive line is kind of the strength of the Eagles, but Strowbridge is really good value here. He can play 3-tech, and he could even kick outside on early downs. On to the 5th round, back to the Bengals. They go Shane Lemieux out of Oregon. The interior, like I said, was exceptionally bad for the Bengals, and they did little to kind of improve that in free agency. Lemieux, he's a high IQ football player that can immediately compete for a starting spot. Carolina Panthers, they go tight end Devin Asi out of UCLA. Hopefully I didn't butcher that name, but Ian Thomas hasn't really panned out, and Devin here, he has great size to be a solid blocker, and he's a mismatch nightmare at 6'3", 257. The guy runs a 4.7, so you gotta like that. The Detroit Lions, they go linebacker Jacob Phillips out of LSU. He needs some time to kind of develop, but he can do that while being behind our boys Jared and Jelani. But the guy can immediately help out on special teams. The New York Giants go linebacker as well. Sean Bradley out of Temple. Bradley, right off the bat, is a passing down linebacker. And the Giants, they kind of lack a linebacker that could be solid in coverage. Just saying. Chargers, they go defensive interior, McTelvin, again, out of Arkansas. I mean, Chargers, they got nothing from Jerry Tillery last year, but he'll be playing more 3-tech, which is where he should have been playing initially, not a gap penetrator. But McTelvin, I mean, if anything, it's competition for that role, or good rotation. Carolina Panthers, they go Jonathan Garvin out of Miami. Panthers, they lost 19 sacks last year when Bruce Irvin and Mario Addison departed. So Garvin, he's 20. He's only 20. He has a lot of top end pass rushing traits, or at least what you want to see from a pass rusher. But the effort's always kind of been a question, and I'm a big fan of Phil Snow, so I think he can maybe get the most out of Garvin. Miami Dolphins go John Simpson out of Clemson. The guy is a veteran with much experience under his belt, and he could be a solid guard immediately. Dolphins back-to-back picks here. They're going Darnell Mooney out of Tulane. He has blazing speed. He's kind of like a budget KJ Hamler. Kind of like that to a T. I mean, I think he'd be a fun weapon for Flores. The Minnesota Vikings, they go Cole McDonald out of Hawaii. Oh boy. I know they extended Kirk Cousins, but they should at least play with the idea of developing a quarterback behind him. San Francisco 49ers, they go Michael Ojemudia out of Iowa. He's kind of ideal for a cover 4, and that's kind of what the Niners deploy. I mean, he's coming from a zone-heavy defense at Iowa that kind of requires a lot of communication and discipline, so good fit there. The Jaguars, they go Alohi Gilman out of Notre Dame. Ronnie Harrison, he was kind of okay in the box, but Gilman has better ball skills playing the same role. The New York Jets, they go Cameron Clark out of Charlotte. Guy, he's technically sound. He has ideal arm length for tackle, but I think he could... he can immediately compete for tackle, but the guy has the potential to kick into guard as well. The Raiders, they go Darius Anderson out of TCU. Last pick for the Raiders, so let's make kind of it count for him. They lost DeAndre Washington, which is pretty huge. He offered a lot as a pass catcher, so Jet Anderson. The guy's nickname is Jet. Jet Anderson. He's a big play threat anytime he touches the ball. Indianapolis Colts, they go running back as well. Eno Benjamin out of Arizona State. Marlon Mack's going to be a free agent after this season. Eno Benjamin, he's very good at making tacklers miss, and with that Colts offensive line, he'll be dangerous when he gets to the second level. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they go Alex Highsmith out of Charlotte. So Barrett, he's under the franchise tag, so in case this guy kind of leaves, goes to greener pastures. I don't know what pastures would be greener if Brady's not a part of it. Makes no sense to me. But I think they should at least develop another pass rusher. Highsmith, he can come in and right away be like a situational pass rusher. Then we got the Washington Redskins. They go safety, Julian Blackman out of Utah. Blackman, he could also play corner, but I think it'd be wise to leave him there at free safety because he didn't play corner too well in 2018. Got good athleticism, but he's kind of still developing how he reads offenses, just his football knowledge in general. Chicago Bears go Trey Adams out of Washington. The guy's got athletic limitations, and this is actually pretty great value for the Bears. Adams, he's still a very smart player, and he could find his way into this starting lineup at least sooner than later. Dallas Cowboys go Tyree Phillips out of Mississippi State. The guy has tackle length, but he's probably better at guard, which means you can maybe kick Zach Martin or Connor McGovern into center over Joe Looney. Just saying. But then we got the Jaguars back on the clock. They go Albert Okwuegbunam out of Missouri. The Jags, can you really rely on Tyler Eifert to stay healthy? I don't think so. Alberto, he doesn't create too much space unless he's doing it vertically because the dude's got 4.41 speed. Detroit Lions go Isaiah Hodgins out of Ohio State. Basically, Detroit, they just land a big body receiver with a huge catch radius. Buffalo Bills go A.J. Dillon out of Boston College. The Bills, they kind of missed out on Melvin Gordon, but they land a bruiser here that should be a good complement to Devin Singletary. Then we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They go linebacker once again, Francis Bernard out of Utah. Given kind of how shallow they are at linebacker, they really have no depth there. The Eagles could probably address this a couple of times. Bernard is probably at his ceiling. He's actually, I think, 25. He's pretty old. He's probably the oldest prospect in this draft. But the guy has 3-down linebacker traits. He's got good ball skills. Even if this is his ceiling, that's pretty good for the NFL. New Orleans Saints, they go corner Reggie Robinson out of Tulsa. The guy's a good press man corner with great ball skills. He needs some work on technique, but he can make appearances in sub packages early for the Saints. Baltimore Ravens go Meek Robertson at Louisiana Tech, another sleeper. I love this guy. Now, Tavon Young, I really liked him, but the guy, he can't stay healthy. So the Ravens, they kind of opt to bring in Robertson, who is probably a slot only, but he's one of the most underrated prospects in this draft. The guy has 14 career picks. Houston Texans go safety J.R. Reed out of Georgia. The Texans, they kind of opt to get Tayshaun Gibson. They opt to get an out if they want to get out of his contract. Even if they don't, you could potentially groom a successor here in Reed. The New England Patriots, they go defensive interior John Penisini out of Utah. Sorry, I had to brace myself for laughter. It's a great last name. The Patriots, they like depth on their defensive line. And Penisini, I love that name, is a stout two-gap run defender. The guy, he can immediately come in and be a nice fit, a good depth piece, a good rotation piece for the Patriots. And then we got the Miami Dolphins. They go corner L'Jarius Sneed at Louisiana Tech. Sneed, he's a safety, or he's a former safety, moving to corner. I think he's really ideal with his size and speed to be a press man corner, and this could be a guy that pays dividends later down the road. Tennessee Titans go Anthony McFarland out of Maryland. I mean, this guy's lightning in a bottle. He could be the lightning that Dion Lewis couldn't be to Derrick Henry's Thunder. Green Bay Packers, they go quarterback Josh Love out of San Jose State. There we go. So basically, let's just get a backup quarterback for Ron. I mean, Love, he's a good decision maker. I think he instantly a solid quarterback to back up Mr. Rogers. My knee. San Francisco 49ers. Stupid. They go Robert Windsor out of Penn State. Windsor, he has the ability to kind of move inside and out, and Niners, they love versatility across their line. Kansas City Chiefs, they go Mike Dana out of Michigan. The dude's a stout run defender with a mean bull rush. He's got a good motor. And I mean, honestly, this is a quality last pick for the Chiefs defense that's kind of moving more towards solid rather than bend, don't break. Denver Broncos, they go Josh Medlis out of Michigan. So basically back-to-back Michigan players right here. It's kind of wild. Broncos, they just need to get a deal done with Justin Simmons. But if they can't, or even if they do, I mean, they're left with Kareem Jackson, who's kind of in the later part of his career. So, I mean, why not get Josh here? He kind of comps to a Will Parks. So, not bad. Dallas Cowboys, they go Dalton Keene, Virginia Tech tight end. Man, the Cowboys, they just need to prepare if Blake Jarwin isn't it at tight end. Keene, he has interest in athleticism. Hasn't really translated on the field. That wasn't really his fault. He wasn't really utilized a lot at Virginia Tech. On to the 6th round. Cincinnati Bengals go Quintez Cephas out of Wisconsin. Basically, it's just a big body receiver. It could kind of develop if AJ Green kind of leaves. Denver Broncos go Nate Stanley out of Iowa. Broncos, they have enough pick to kind of address whatever they want, so they address backup quarterback Nate Stanley. I mean, he's got huge upside. Don't think he'll ever reach it, but he'll be a solid backup. Detroit Lions, they go Solomon Kinley out of Georgia. They want to run the ball. The Lions want to run the ball. Kinley will help them do that. New York Giants, they go Joshua DeGara out of Cincinnati. I really like DeGara, and I think Joe Judge, he might be a Joe Judge guy, because this guy, he can play tight end, but he could also line up at fullback, kind of as a Swiss Army knife. And I know, well, judging by the Patriots, they kind of used him in that manner. If anything, he's a special teamer. So there's a lot to like about DeGara. And then the Carolina Panthers, they go DJ Dallas out of Miami, out of the U. Now, there is not a solid backup behind CMC. Dallas, he does a little bit of everything really well, which probably will get him drafted in the late rounds. I've come around to Dallas. It's just the Hurricanes didn't really use him. Miami Dolphins, they get Evan Weaver out of California. Weaver, he is a bit limited as an athlete, but he's kind of your old school linebacker, and he could, if anything, he could contribute right off the bat as a special teamer. The Los Angeles Chargers get Kendall Vildor out of Georgia Southern. The Chargers, they need to find someone who could play on the outside, because it doesn't sound like Chris Harris will be doing that, because it sounds like they're going to kick him into safety and then move Keene to free. So, I don't know. They could do a lot of different things with their secondary. They got a lot of talent back there. But Vildor, he's a big corner with limited athleticism, but the guy balled out against big competition. I mean, you could just go back into 2018 against Clemson. He shut Clemson down. I mean, as much as he could. Still kind of a wampin', but he did good. Then we got the Cleveland Browns. They go Joe Reed out of Virginia. I like Reed's combination of size and speed. And it's something that's the Browns, they kind of lack size at that position. Or at least Joe Reed's size at that position. So, and if anything, the guy, he could help in the return game immediately. And then the Buffalo Bills go James Prochet out of SMU. Basically, look into the future with Prochet with this, because it could be an eventual replacement in the slot for Cole Beasley, but instantly the guy can help in the return game. Jacksonville Jaguars go quarterback Tyler Huntley out of Utah. It's not a bad idea to have a backup. I mean, especially if Uncle Rico struggles and the Jaguars have enough picks. Philadelphia Eagles, they go punter Sterling Hofrichter out of Syracuse. So kickers and punters, they get drafted. Long snappers get drafted. I didn't fit a long snapper in here, and there's only one with a draftable grade. I think it's Blake Ferguson out of LSU. But there's kickers and punters in here. And the Eagles could use a punter. This is their last pick, so they upgrade the punter position. Sterling, he's probably one of the most consistent punters in this class. The guy finished as a four-time nominee of the Ray Guy Award. And, I mean, it wouldn't be realistic if I didn't include these guys. New York Jets, they go Lavert Hill out of Michigan. I like this guy a lot. He's a good press man corner. Bit undersized, but he kind of fits well with Greg Williams' defense. The Green Bay Packers go Derek Tuzuka. Kind of rhymes with bazooka. But this guy, he might get passed on early. I know he kind of blew up at the combine, but he is a bit undersized. And given the Packers already come with they already like apply so many they run so many sub packages. I think it was like close to 75% of their snaps last year was ran in the nickel. So he could be, honestly, he can be a kind of a situational pass rusher right off the bat. I mean, he's a force off the edge. I mean, you saw him at the combine. Guy's athletic. Indianapolis Colts, they go Laryl Murchison out of NC State. Basically, this guy was used out of position his whole time at NC State. He was used on the edge. He's more of an interior player. So he comes into the NFL already with an array of pass rush and moves for the interior. So I like it. It's good value for the Colts. He could be a good value at a 3 tech. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go Quez Watkins out of Southern Miss. Basically, another guy just like Chenault can stretch the field wide open. Could stretch the field vertically, kind of opening up those intermediate to short routes on the outside or opening up the middle. And then the New England Patriots, they go kicker Dominic Eberle out of Utah State. Basically, he's a good bad weather kicker, being in Utah and whatnot. So currently New England's without a kicker, so they get a kicker. Chicago Bears go Rashard Lawrence out of LSU. The Bears, they don't really have much depth along the defensive line, and Lawrence, he's kind of a plug and play anywhere along the defensive line, so matches up well here. Indianapolis Colts, they're actually going with James Smith Williams out of NC State. So a lot of love for NC State right now, especially the defensive line. But the Colts, they love themselves some athletes. This guy has tremendous physical tools, and at the very least, he's going to be a very good run defender on the edge. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they go Kaliki Hudson out of Michigan. Hudson, he's making the transition from safety to linebacker, and he's kind of a project when it comes to that, but he's a project that can pay off, especially in the pass. Los Angeles Raiders, wow. We're going way back. Los Angeles Rams, they're going with Kyle Murphy out of Rhode Island. Murphy, extremely athletic, and he would be needed competition there at guard. Like I said, that's kind of like what I think the Rams are going to focus at. They're going to focus trying to get that offensive line right. And then the Chicago Bears go Danny Woodward out of Utah State. Really good pick here, actually. Really good value. The Bears, they really have nobody reliable in the middle after, or if something were to happen to Smith or Trevathan. So this guy, he's got a good combination of instincts and tackling prowess. He's just a really good safe option here. Minnesota Vikings go Carter Coughlin out of Minnesota. This guy, he's going to move to off-ball linebacker. He was an edge in college. He doesn't have the size to stick there, but the Vikings, they love blitzing their linebackers anyway. Arizona Cardinals go Darian Daniels out of Nebraska. The guy has a lot of athleticism for his size. He was one of my combine winners. So this would be a good guy to get into that defensive line rotation. New Orleans Saints, they're going J.J. Taylor out of Arizona. I love this guy. I know he's probably just a gadget player, but Saints love their gadget players. I mean, am I right, Hill? But he kind of brings a little bit of Darren Sproles to his game, so I like it. I like this pick a lot. New England Patriots go tight end Stephon Sullivan out of LSU. He's lightning quick, but by no means is he like a traditional tight end. He's a kind of a big physical receiver moving to tight end, or he moved to tight end there at LSU, but wasn't really used a lot. But this guy, he's not going to be used as a blocker. You kind of put him in there to be a mismatch nightmare, especially with his straight line speed. Minnesota Vikings, they go Colt McKivitz out of West Virginia. They just add another body on the offensive line. The guy's smart. He could stick around this league as a solid backup, maybe even average starter, whether it's at guard or tackle. Jacksonville Jaguars go Hakeem Adeniji out of Kansas. This guy projects better as a guard, but he's got really good, nice physical upside to him. And then the Buffalo Bills, they go kicker. They're going Tyler Bass out of Georgia Southern. Basically, the Bills, their kicker, he went 1 of 5 from 50 yards plus. And Bass, he probably has the biggest leg in this draft. And that would be, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, the way that defense is stacked up, they don't require the offense to have to score a lot. So even if the offense moves a little, they get a guy that can boot it from 50 plus. And I mean, we're talking a 6th round pick here. What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to find value where there's value. Green Bay Packers go with Tristan Jackson out of Syracuse. This guy kind of has a long ways to go, but he brings good field stretching, speed, and very interesting potential. Honestly, he could even go undrafted, but again, like I said, there's good potential there. And the Green Bay Packers, they go Shaheem Carter out of Alabama. I thought this guy could have been a 1st round pick early in the season. How 9 months changes, right? It changes your whole perspective. But he projects as a slot corner, and I think it'd be good competition for the current slot corner there, Sullivan. And then San Francisco 49ers go Lamar Jackson out of Nebraska. This guy, he isn't exactly a scheme fit here, but I think he's going to be moving to safety from corner just because I don't think he'll be able to hang athletically there at corner. But he brings interesting size, whether they want to play him at corner or not. New York Jets, they go Benjamin Victor out of Ohio State. Fundamentally, this guy, he's a very good receiver with a huge catch radius for Darnold just to kind of throw into. New England Patriots, they go Kevin Dotson out of Louisiana. Guy's a mammoth. A mammoth with the right coaching could be a solid starter for years to come. Again, still a little raw. There's not much to like about him from a pass protecting perspective. But again, 6th round pick, you can coach him up. Seattle, you're just drafting for potential at this point. That's what the day 3 is. New England Patriots back on the clock. Joe Bocci out of Michigan. Guy is limited from an athletic perspective, but he should be a solid rotation or depth piece, even special teamer. And then the Seattle Seahawks, they go Shaq Quarterman out of Miami. Seattle last year said they wanted to blitz their linebackers more, and that's kind of Quarterman's game. 7th round, will my voice make it? I don't know. Cincinnati Bengals, they're going Bryce Huff out of Memphis. Guy's kind of interesting here because he maybe should go a round or 2 earlier, but his play strength is like a huge concern. Early on, he's probably just a situational pass rusher or a 3rd down pass rusher, but athletically, he's very interesting. Washington Redskins go cornerback A.J. Green out of Oklahoma State. He's got good ball skills, which is something that's kind of a foreign concept to the Redskins secondary. 49, I don't know. I'm taking shots out here, I know. San Francisco 49ers, they're going Josiah Coatney out of Ole Miss. Another defensive lineman with some versatility to where you can play him. The guy is very athletic for his size. The New York Giants, they go Tremaine Akram out of Clemson. The guy was a right tackle, but he's probably most definitely going to be moving to guard. He's just a nice big body to add on the line. Minnesota Vikings go Jermichael Hasty out of Baylor. He fits well with the Vikings blocking scheme. He's good in the pass, and I mean, if Dalvin Cook goes down, then you have another running back there with Addison. All right. Oh man, I'm just blanked on his name. Next pick. Los Angeles Chargers. They go Joshua Kelly out of UCLA. Now the Chargers, they lack really any size there at running back or physicality. Well, Kelly brings that. Carolina Panthers, they go Charlie Heck out of North Carolina. Guy's got a lot of physical upside. His physical tools are pretty nice. The guy's like 6'7", just lengthy, but he's not that strong. Definitely needs to add power to his frame. Arizona Cardinals go Casey Toohill out of Stanford. Two is kind of a weird mix of an off-ball linebacker and edge rusher. Like, he's decent at both, but great at neither. So, I mean, he'll be stout against the run, and he's going to be a very good special teamer. Jacksonville Jaguars get Courtney Davis out of Texas A&M. I mean, this guy's just a legitimate speedster that what that receiving core kind of lacks, at least vertically downfield. Tennessee Titans go Dane Jackson out of Pittsburgh. I don't know how he fell this far. I mean, I do know how, but I think this is great value here for the Titans. He is a press man corner, but he lacks kind of the speed to keep up with receivers downfield. That's his big knock, and it'll probably scare teams away. But I think we'll see him come off the board maybe like 5th, 6th round, I think, realistically. But I mean, I could see him falling here. And I mean, honestly, you just got to keep him away from vertical threats and he's fine. Baltimore Ravens, they go John Malchon out of Boise State. I don't know if I said that with a lisp or something. He projects as a solid backup with good athleticism. I mean, if anything, he can be an extra blocker with that athleticism. Then we got Chicago Bears. They're getting a kicker. Everyone's getting kickers now. Rodrigo Blankenship out of Georgia. Pinheiro. Pinheiro. The dude has a big boot, but he really struggled with accuracy from like 40 plus. Blankenship, he's one of the most talented, accurate, or one of the most tested and accurate kickers in all of college football. So who doesn't like a good old-fashioned kicker camp battle? Yay. Miami Dolphins, they go Raymond Calais out of Louisiana. Even with Swift, the Dolphins kind of lack a home run threat there in the backfield. Calais, he has that kind of speed. Atlanta Falcons, Marcus Bailey out of Purdue. He falls because of the injury red flags, but he can be a huge steal late. At the very least, he'll be a good 2-down linebacker against the run. Washington Redskins go Kendrick Rogers out of Texas A&M. Now, they're kind of taking a swing here on Rogers, who has tremendous upside but struggled with injuries. Wow. He struggled with injuries, and he never really developed. He never really produced consistently. But like I said, big upside, so you take shots here at this part of the draft. New England Patriots go with Stanford Samuels III out of Florida State. Another guy with tremendous physical upside. I think he probably declared prematurely, but there's a lot of bad habits you're going to have to iron out of his game, but he's super young, so with a lot of potential. Then the Dallas Cowboys go Cameron Curl out of Arkansas. The guy has experience at corner and safety, and he's just got size and length that you value. Pittsburgh Steelers, they go in Austin Mack at Ohio State. Guy has good size. He can be a decent wide receiver 4 on any roster. Chicago Bears, they're going Antoine Brooks out of Maryland. Oh, Bears can really use some bodies at safety. I'm not sure if Brooks is it. He may project better at linebacker, but he lacks size, but he's a smart player. He's in this weird kind of role. He doesn't have safety athleticism, but he doesn't have linebacker size. It's kind of weird. He's in this limbo, I guess. Where am I at on this list? We're going to the Rams. We're talking about Levante Taylor out of Florida. The Rams, they let Robbie Coleman go, and they could use someone in the slot. Taylor at this point is a steal down here. It's a very deep draft. Good players will fall. Then we got the Detroit Lions going with Javelin Guidry out of Utah. The guy, ridiculous speed. Go check him out at the combine. It's up there with Ruggs, but I think it was actually faster. I think he was in like 4.27. I can't think of, I don't have it in front of me. Hopefully that's it, but tremendous speed. Only probably translates as a slot corner, at least immediately. but he's always been a solid tackler, which is probably why he's more ideal at slot anyway. Green Bay Packers go Raquan Williams out of Michigan State. Check out this guy's story. This guy's got a great story. But Williams, he's going to be a two-gap defender who will be very good against the run. And that's my philosophy. You could always get really good run defenders late in the draft. That's why you don't grab them early, Derek Brown. Tennessee Titans, they go with Steve Montez out of Colorado. Might as well develop a quarterback. If Tannehill doesn't work out, Montez, he's got a strong arm, just no accuracy. New York Giants go James Robinson out of Illinois State. He's a very physical runner that could probably relieve Saquon on short downs. Buffalo Bills go Miles Bryant out of Washington. Bryant just kind of falls because of his position. He's like a nickel dime corner, but he offers very good depth for the Bills. Houston Texans go Hussein Bassi out of Wake Forest. Texans just grab depth in the slot with this pick. New England Patriots, they grab edge Olawole Bedeku Jr. out of Illinois. They basically get a situational pass rusher here. Green Bay Packers, they get Justin Strinad out of Wake Forest. He actually could get a ton of snaps given the lack of depth there at linebacker for the Packers. Tennessee Titans get Sean McKeon out of Michigan. The guy is going to be a solid depth player, tight end, and he's probably a better blocker than Smith and Ferkser. Cleveland Browns, they get Harrison Hand out of Temple. Harrison, he's unpolished, but he could be a nice piece if he develops. San Francisco 49ers get Darrell Williams out of Mississippi State. Williams, he's kind of a developmental prospect at center. Doesn't have much agility, but that's why he's coming from guard to center. And you don't really need much. Athleticism matters less on the interior. Miami Dolphins, they go Khalil Davis out of Nebraska. Davis, he's got good versatility as a backup. New York Giants, they go Jared Hilbers out of Washington. He can be he could line up at guard and be pretty solid. He's just good depth for the line. Houston Texans get Darrington Evans out of Appalachian State. Are you really going to rely on David Johnson to stay healthy? Just saying. Minnesota Vikings, they get safety Jalen Elliott out of Notre Dame. Elliott, he tested real poorly at the Combine, but he looked good at the Senior Bowl, and he's still draftable. Houston Texans, they get CJ O'Grady out of Arkansas. O'Grady, man, big character red flags will be a knock on him. They'll knock him probably clear off most people's boards, but some team, I'm telling you, it will be willing to draft this guy, and if he pans out, he can be a steal. He could have been a top 5 tight end in this class. Miami Dolphins, they get a punter, Michael Turk, out of Arizona State. Hack only signed a 1-year deal, and it was kind of a down year for him last year. Turk, he actually has he's got a big boot, but he needs a little more accurately, I guess, place his balls. Denver Broncos, they go on corner Parnell Motley out of Oklahoma. Good fit for Motley here. Denver's zone coverage. He's going to be a good camp body. Minnesota Vikings, Jeff Thomas out of Miami. They need to take some risk at receiver now that Diggs is gone. So Thomas lacks the size, but he's got some good speed. Then the Denver Broncos, they go our last special team player of the draft. Braden Mann out of Texas A&M. Waldman was okay last year, and who doesn't like a good old-fashioned punter camp battle? And then the final pick, the New York Giants select Kamal Martin out of Minnesota. The Giants, they really don't have anything special at linebacker. And Martin, he's extremely athletic. It never equated to production for him. But that's it for the video. Go ahead and do the YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated. Much obliged. I'm going to nurse my voice, but I'm going to edit this sucker, get it out for you, and hopefully y'all are being safe in these trying times. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.